Welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Uh, Coming in today because here we go. Today, but so forgive me for this one, but here we go. I am your host, Radicat. You can find me at Radicat on Twitter. You can find me at Need on Twitter. You can find me at Radicat on Blue Sky now, also. But you can also find me on at CBCaps on Instagram. And yeah, this is going to be the show for a minute. Uh, 87 is still off on some personal thing. Matt Wang 97 might pop in a little later or in a little bit, but we shall see. But right now, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network. That's cspn.us. Do it today. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast pages. Excuse me, Cold Slither Podcasts SoundCloud page. You can also find us recording every Thursday night, mostly, except for this week because it's the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. So hopefully everybody had a good, safe Turkey Day / Indigenous Peoples Day / Thursday. But yeah, you can usually find us every Thursday night streaming on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Editing will be editing this evening, sometime this week. So yeah, I got a lot of books. I want to go ahead and get them fired up and started. Like I said, coming in a little hot because um, there were things I forgot to do, and there were things I didn't do, and that I had to end up doing before, but before I started the show, and here we are. So first up, for me, except for me, but yeah, so I'm going through my books of the week, and we're going to start off with a book that I read this week, but came out last week, and the only reason why I'm putting it here is because I took the time to actually read it. So, and that is Flash Gordon #4 from Mad Cave, which came out, like I said, last week, but we didn't get a copy of it. So it's written by Jeremy Adams, art by Will Conrad, colors by Lee Loveridge, and letters by Taylor Esposito. So, the Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless pretty much has a tenuous truce going on right now because they're escaping mutual captors. And there's a space battle that ensued that they had to work together with, which led them to hiding out on having to go to a planet that's an outpost that I guess Ming supposedly has some dealings with. But, um, you know, things are things, and Ming's going to be Ming the Merciless. So, he does Ming things, and Flash has to, at the end of it, has to kind of come through and do some things, or do Flash Gordon things. So we'll see how that turns out. And also, the ship they're on has a repair bot that has made a discovery, which will probably come into play next issue or two. I'm not entirely sure how that falls into things, but there we are with that. Next up, now we're starting books from this week properly with. Actually, I do need to put a sound thing on this. Let's see. Oh, did I actually really not put that one? Easy. Probably not, but that's okay because I'll add it in post probably about right here. The book we're talking about right now is Gatchaman Galactor number 4 of 4, written by Steve Orlando, with art by Pascal Quilano. Excuse me, colors by Rebecca Nalty, and letters by Frank uh, Vetkovic. I apologize if I butchered your name. We're not trying to do that around these parts. So, but yeah. So this was a mini series that was, if as the name implies, deals with Galactor. More specifically, I guess the face of Galactor in Berg Cats. And if you know anything about Galactor slash Battle of the Planets slash, G-Force, you know, you have seen him definitely. Um, he is usually the one that makes the plans, and I think in certain volumes or certain adaptations of it, Berg Cats is the leader of Galactor, or is, excuse me, called Galactor, and that there's a face in a mirror who is actually the leader of Galactor in Leader X. But like I said, Berg Cats is the face of the group. He's the Cobra Commander basically, but there's also someone above him. But he's been dealing with some unfinished business from an old group that Galactor kind of came out of, and this last issue kind of sees that bit of business being dealt with one way or another. So um it's whether it leads to anything for the main Gatchaman book or not doesn't seem like it. It was just something that was like kind of, I guess, giving a little bit more shine to Bird Cats and getting into his mind a little bit. This seems to be the case. So, but like I said, hey, if you enjoy Galactor, excuse me, Gatchaman. Hey, what's another book, right? Right. Next book is Gatchaman number 5. So this is the ongoing. Written by Cullen Bunn, pencils by Chris Batista, inks by Sabrina Cintron, colors by Carlos Lopez, and letters by Buddy Boudoin. So the group had been split. Not necessarily split, but last issue, June, June, the Swan was on or at least the last couple of issues of June was on a undercover mission in the bowels of Galactor, and basically ended up fighting her way out in her with the help of the Gatchaman B team. And in this issue here, her and the B team end up going to help the main team, her main team, her team, in trying to dispatch one of Galactor's latest mecha monster situations. And this pretty much goes into how that works out. Two things happen out of that, which, somebody's not happy about it, but somebody is. And I guess we'll find out why one of those is the case next issue. Next up is, this is also kind of a rapid fire for me, because like I said, it's just me, so there's really not much need to belabor much going on. Plus, I don't have a lot of news, so this is going to be a shorter than average show this week. But Star Trek Defiant, number 21, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Angel Unzueta, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So it starts off with a father-daughter tete-a-tete with Sela and her dad Revo, who pretty much has started up a Romulan coup and set up the crew of the Defiant for patsies, and also took Spock hostage in the last few issues as a hostage because of and Sela was kind of a part of that situation as well. But she being her, and her dad being him and they being Romulans, you know, treachery afoot has happened, and this issue pretty much, excuse me, cleans up, or at least pretty much gets to the end of that whole situation. Miles O'Brien and Julian Bashir also kind of pop in as of last issue and in this issue for a reason. There's a callback to uh, a thing that I think I remember from DS9 between Worf and O'Brien. Um, that's something that was kind of a good thing to see. Um, but also in the end, it sets up a basically a splitting up of the crew because Worf's going off and doing a thing, and um, the titled the titled ship and crew are going to go off and do another thing. Is that maybe going to be them going into what's going on in the Star Trek ongoing book? Probably. But there was nothing that said as much um, while reading this. But you got to figure it's going to catch up with that stuff. This book is going to catch up with that stuff at some point. So wouldn't be surprised when and or if that happens. Next up, Void Rivals, number 14, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Lorenzo Di Felici, colors by Patricio Del Pesce, and letters by Russ Wooten. So, as I say in my notes, a lot is going on in this book, but the things you need to know is Corporalized in space, which they have been, but we're seeing a little bit more of them. So Leela and Darak's hand droid are still on their quest to find the heart of Zerta Prime, or find Zerta Prime, I think is what they're looking for. Um, Darak's just trying to be useful, basically at home, but he ends up on a mission that's basically has him meeting up with another Cybertronian because he's met a couple of them in the pages of this book. And of course they meet in the only way them two folks know how to meet. But and in the end of it, Quintesson's at the door. So yeah, like I said, there's a few different things going on in this one, but there usually is in Void Rivals. But so it's as it sets itself up to be kind of an important book in the Energon universe. Next up, let's see. Sectaurs, number 2 of 3. Actually, I forgot to put that there. Written by Dennis Culver, art by Ramon Box, colors by Manoli Martinez, letters by Ghost Glyph Studios Taylor Esposito. So yeah, so Sectaurs is an old '80s toy brand. If you're of a certain vintage like I am, you've probably seen them. Maybe also even had them. I did not. But the good folks at the Nacelle Company, I hope they're good folks anyway. But the folks that brought the show, the toys that made us, brought Sectaurs, Power Lords, Robot Force, or Robo Force, excuse me, and a couple of other. Oh, Biker Mice from Mars are bringing them back in not only comic book form but also back in toy form. In fact, if you go to Walmart, you can probably see their display. Um, I think the last time I saw them, there was a display in the electronics, like right in front of the electronics aisle, and not near the toy aisle. But then again, that Walmart was kind of set up, you know, in a certain way. So, but yeah, that stuff's out there, and there are books supporting, or will be supporting, those franchises that they are bringing back. And in this particular case, Sectaurs. I never really watched Sectaurs when I was younger, so I knew of them, but like I said, I don't think I ever watched an episode. But it's kind of, good versus bad. Um, they both have you know, telebonds with insects that they're flying and fight with. And of course, they have their archetypes, of people or people on both sides, of course, that are probably familiar for those, who've ever watched any show similar to that, like a He-Man or well, there's not necessarily well, I guess Prince Dargon is the main character, but he's not necessarily He-Man. So this is probably more like Visionaries, which I know is another 80s toy line that had a comic book that people might not know. But it's the classic good versus evil folks on a planet far, far away. Um, but yeah, but basically in this issue, well, there was an ambush at the end of last issue, and that spilled over into this issue, and the things are kind of not going well for one side of the conflict, as the other side is kind of making moves left and right. But since this is 2 of 3, well, that's probably going to turn back around in the next issue, as that one is the last one. It's been an interesting read. Like I said, I do know of Sectaurs as the brand and the comic book, the cartoon. In fact, I think I ended up watching an episode that's on YouTube because that stuff is out there. Maybe not always officially, but it's out there. So if you want to check that out and see what Sectaurs is all about, you might wanna peep that out. Let us see. Next up, though. Spider-Man number 62. Finally caught up with this a whole 8 deaths of Spider-Man situation. It's written by Joe Kelly, penciled by Ed McGuinness, letters by Cliff Rathburn, Mark Farmer, and Wade Von Graubager, colors by Marcio Meniz and Eric Arciniega, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna, as we say, the hardest working Paisan, as we like to call him. But so Peter has been put into some of Doctor Doom's shenanigans, which actually spilled from some Stephen Strange situation that Doctor Strange, who is now the Sorcerer Supreme, has now inherited, but he cannot be bothered to deal with it, so he pretty much gets Peter to do this thing. And with that great responsibility comes a new suit for Peter, which is mystical in nature, and has Peter calling out attacks like like he's a street fighter or something, which has been kind of amusing. And the whole thing is wrapped in a wrapper of, well, this whole thing is a mystical thing that has to do with Cyttorak. And if you know your Marvel lore, you know that there is one character well, 2 if you count Stephen Strange, but that has any connection to Cyttorak. And we have not seen that character yet, but I suspect that character is probably going to come into play at some point during this arc. So another thing is, it is not called 8 Deaths of Spider-Man for no reason, as it has happened once, but he basically has he doesn't necessarily have a cheat code. He doesn't have the Konami code going for him, but he does have something similar going for him in that he does have a limited number of lives, like a cat. In video games. So no court is necessary in this situation, but it is what it is. Like I said, so far, it's been something. Oh, and then there's a kind of little underlying thing going on where Norman Osborn is trying to be normal, but also he's trying to go away from older Osborn things. To what extent that's going to be, we don't know, but Peter finds out part of it at the beginning of this issue, or near the beginning of this issue, as after he tries to get some help, or actually gets some help from an astral version of Stephen Strange and non-astral version Black Cat, who's, going around. Who, of course, you have Black Cat for a reason, and if you've been keeping up with her book, you kind of know why in relation to Doctor Strange. So, and Spidey in that whole situation. So you can kind of put 2 and 2 together on that one. Next up, oops, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Saturday Morning Adventures continued, number 19. That was a mouthful, I know. Story by Eric Burnham, art by Dan Schoening, letters by Ed Dukeshire, colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. So, April O'Neil is covering a story about a high security a security system that is protecting millions in gold. And of course, this is on TV because the person who is behind this is the security, or I guess bought and has something to do with the security system, kind of wants it out there and wants people to kind of to come at them for that reason, to test out their security system. So of course this puts this puts the turtles kind of on the case, because they were kind of wondering, well, they've seen some things already about the situation, and so they felt the need to investigate things as well. Also, come to find out that Insomniac Games was shouted out in this particular issue, which makes me really, really, really want a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Insomniac made game. Those who made the recent Spider-Man games, and of course, the Uncharted games and other things. So the fact that they kind of got shouted out in this universe is kind of amazing, or it looked as though it was anyway, because I don't think it was the classic version of Insomniac, and that's one of the turtles mentioned. So I don't know. But in relation to how they spoke about him, I'm willing to believe that it has absolutely to do with the actual video game company, and that's cool. So, but the turtles, because this brings about some of the turtles' adversaries out of the woodwork. One including a new one that's kind of been floating around on Earth, who apparently knows about Krang at the very least, due to dimension things. And at the end of this, they seem to be coming together, because there's a couple other things going on here, like Shredder and Rocksteady are kind of displaced. In fact, Shredder's been kind of dimension displaced for a few issues at this point. I guess issue 19, I think that's been since issue 11 or something. So, and they're still trying to figure out how to deal with that situation, and that's where some of the stuff that comes into play here comes in. So yeah, there is that. Next up, we continuing down the Turtles line with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2024 number 4. I don't know if the 2024 is not exactly in the title, but still we're calling it that now anyway, because I think it's what I've seen it called, in places. I don't think I said, no, I didn't say, yeah. So, but this is a potential click of the week for me, and for partial reasons, because this is the story that is focusing on my favorite turtle, which is uh, I've still some dumb stuff, and I hate it. But anyway, yes, Donatello is the turtle of focus here, and apparently there's a callback to the previous volume of the Turtles, when I guess he was on a, as the Turtles tend to do, uh, time displaced mission. I remember seeing some things about that because we talked about it in the news, but didn't actually read any of the previous volume, but apparently he's got some issues coming out of that situation, because he's in a bad way, in a way that the other turtles are not. Like, yeah, Mikey had a little bit of issues, but whatever, he's also been a major star, TV star, whatever the case may be. Donnie's kind of in a bad way, and I won't go into what exactly is going on with him, but whatever happened in that in the last volume that was focused on him, and whatever time shenanigans happened kind of took a toll on him, seems like. It kind of makes me want to go back and check it out, but also I know there's like 150 issues of that book, and I know that stuff kind of came in somewhere near the end, but I'm not entirely sure how much of it that I would have to read to get caught up on that. So that is a whole thing. But regardless, yeah, Donnie's in a bad way, and the other stuff with the other guys and the foot still in play. In fact, all of that kind of comes together here as well. Um, uh, and then we kind of get cut to, and they still haven't really said what caused the turtles to split apart like there are in these last four in the start of this volume. So that, I assume, is going to come out at some point soon, because like I said, all they've said was like, yeah, we're not together anymore, and then something happened, but they're never saying what. And I suspect if it has anything to do with what happens back in that we see what is happening back in New York, that also has to do with the Foot clan. That we'll probably get to know the full story in the next couple of issues, I would hope, because like I said, I am very curious to see what happened, and I wouldn't know if it had anything to do with the last volume or not, or if this is something new that Jason Aaron's cooked up. Which, by the way, I don't think I remember I don't think I said the creative team. The script is Jason Aaron, art by Chris Burnham, colors by Brian Reber, and letters by Sean Lee. So, it's a little gritty. Just some Jason Aaron work going on here, and it is interesting. Like I said, this is a potential click of the week for myself. Partially because it's Donatello, but also like, man, this was kind of some stuff's going on in this one. So yeah. So we got to see what's up in chat. So TN comedy, do all the turtles get their own storyline, or is this mainly focused on Donnie? So the past 4 issues, including this one, has been focused on what's up, Bonnie Gloom? I get to what you said in a second. But the last 4 have been singular on each turtle. I forgot who started. I think it started off with Raphael, then it went to Leonardo for issue 2, and then excuse me, Mikey's for issue 2, and then Leonardo for issue 3, and then this is the one that this is the one for Donnie. And like I said, they keep teasing things keep teasing the situation that happened between them, but not exactly telling what the situation is. But like I said, we should be getting to that in the next couple of issues. Also, what's up, Divine Gloom? Like I said, I know you're you're thinking you missed out, and actually I just started like 30 minutes ago, so you really didn't miss that much. But welcome in to you and Teen Comedy. Appreciate you being here. But now, so we didn't just stream yesterday because it was Thanksgiving. That's all it was. I almost didn't stream, but I was like, I kind of wanted to get an episode, because we've done it before where like, no, we might not stream on Thanksgiving, or actually sometimes we have, but we would still get an episode out the week of. I think there was probably one time where that didn't happen on or near a holiday. So therein lies that. All right. So Still got a couple more books to go through because, like I said, I read a lot. So we're just gonna blow through some of these. Normally, I would have a co-host here, but he's off on some personal thing, as Von Gloom might know. But holding it out. We're gonna keep it pushing, and we don't have a whole lot of news, so this is gonna be shorter than normal episode this week, sorta. But yeah, that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 4. Now we get to a new number 1 of the week, which I was kind of interested in checking out. Justice League Unlimited number 1, and I wish I had the sound. I mean, I wish I had the theme song from the animated show, because I feel like it would fit. Maybe the next time we talk about this book, I will probably have it. And I say that because it is not just because the name is the name of the second season of Justice League, the animated series. It kind of is playing like that, and I will talk about that in a second after I get to the creative team, which is written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora. Dan Mora's art still clean, great stuff. Colors by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Ariana Maher. So the Justice League's been gone for a while because of, I don't even remember the event that they killed it all. I mean, not killed it all, but they broke up in. I think because I keep up with certain DC stuff, but not everything. And now that they have this all-in thing going on for DC, I kind of been wanting to check out some stuff. And I have been checking out some side DC stuff that I've been interested in. But like I said, main stuff like Batman, I don't care that much about, and whatever. But regardless, I will be checking out the Absolute line, or the Ultimate line, as we like to call it. So I just need to catch up with that stuff. But regardless, Justice League Unlimited. Like I said, the league is now back in business after the events of Absolute Power, which was the last big event where Amanda Waller was kind of in charge of a whole bunch of stuff. Took over she took over the Hall of Justice and pretty much was responsible for a lot of people losing their powers. And so, apparently, from what I'm getting from cursory things, there are people who got their powers back, but there are also people who haven't gotten their powers back, but powers have been switched from some people, or just other new people have other people's powers. So the Justice League is back. They're set up back in the Watchtower again, and they've basically done like they did in the animated series, and it's like all of the heroes coming together and can either stay at the Watchtower until called for a mission, and things such as that. And of course, as we talked about last week with the question book, which was called All Along the Watchtower, Renee Montoya, the Question is pretty much heading internal security at the Watchtower, and there's a whole situation going on there, of which we might have seen a little bit about in this issue. But from what I'm being led to understand, that Justice League Unlimited is the book that pretty much all of the other books in the DC universe currently is just going to spill out of. So whatever happens in this book is going to lead to stuff happening in, I guess, other people's books. Which, like I said, you can kind of see a little bit of that in the run up to this book, but I guess not the full effect. But in this issue, we do see a couple of missions get kind of start and or play out, and we also get to see the main team, or I guess one of the main teams, kind of go into action, and is not the 7 is not the full lineup of 7 that you would know from the animated series, but it is some of them, of course. So the main, or as they call them, the Alpha Wave, consists of Superman, Wonder Woman, Star Sapphire, Black Lightning, Kid, Flash, and Firestorm. If you're watching the video version, you can see the makeup of a team. Although they on this cover, they do have a couple of the people on here that is not on the team that it was currently doing anything in this issue, but they are in the issue. So, and it sounds like it's just going to be a rotating team of, like I said, and even now that I think about it, Batman was heading up another team in this issue with Blue Beetle, that I guess the rest of that another bunch of the team is going to get involved with. But for the most part, the members that I just mentioned to you that was on the team together, we saw them in action for the first time, and even the introduction of a new character called what is his name, Airwave, and I believe this is a entirely new character because as far as I know, there's not a character that's come before, and they have a power set that deals with electromagnetic waves, which you would think that would conflict with Black Lightning, but no, not really. But we found out that this is their first day, and they get shown around the watchtower, and they end up coming into play with the main team, even though they were not on the originally on the mission. But also, of course, you can't have all of that being said without a little things going on in the background, such as there's a group that is calling themselves Inferno that the main team's kind of dealing with. That is probably going to try to be a problem for the league going forward, and don't see the league as a problem. So, as they have stated in this issue, but yeah, so far I enjoyed what I read here. Like Mark Waid and Dan Wara also are the creative team of Batman Superman, and I have been enjoying that book. So, even though that book just kind of seemed like it is not necessarily in the main continuity because of some things that have come up in that book, but it is still interesting regardless. So, but Justice League Unlimited #1 is out this week. Like I said, check that out if you're a fan. I know when I went to my comic book shop and got a copy a couple of days ago, and yeah, the stuff was flying, but there was still a couple copies still there. So there are people who have interest in the books, this book outside of myself. So yeah. Next up, let's see. Black Canary, Best of the Best, #1 of 6. Excuse me, written by Tom King. So art by Ryan Sook, colors by Dave Stewart, and letters by Clayton Cowles. This is another potential click of the week, and if I did not mention Justice League, also was also another potential click of the week. But I have said this before. I am a fan of Black Canary. I'm a fan of the Birds of Prey book that is currently going on. I'm also a fan of some of Tom King's previous writings, such as Vision and Mr. Miracle, which was also a pretty good book. I knew I couldn't remember that one before, but I do now. Again, this is 1 of 6, so this is a little bit shorter than some of his other stuff. Basically, Black Canary versus Lady Shiva. In a widely televised match, and I do mean widely, like galaxy wide. And if you're thinking shades of Tyson Paul, go with that just a little bit. go with that. They're So I'm just saying that it is there. So if you know anything about Black Canary and Lady Shiva, those are two of the best hand-to-hand fighters in the DC universe. And let's just say we find out why Black Canary is doing this. We don't necessarily know Lady Shiva's motivations, but it's Lady Shiva, so you can kind of get she doesn't need motivations. That's pretty much her motivation. That's pretty much that. So let's see. Von Gloom says, I miss Ryan Sook art. Yes, sir. It is some good art in this book. Got it remedied that. Let's see. Hopefully the Canary Shiva fight was more entertaining. Yes. Like I said, there are, if you read this issue, at least you get to see a little bit more on the behind the scenes, let's just say, of more than that Tyson Paul fight. I'll put it to you that way. But I feel like there are similar strains going on in this one. And we get to see the reason, like I said, why Black Canary is doing this fight. And the whole world and the galaxy is fighting. I mean, is watching, but they don't necessarily know that. So, and the match itself is like 1 of 6. So I mean, not 1 of 6. Excuse me. It's 6 rounds, and you know, I do love the way this started because it's like the announcer that is pretty much the narrator, or at least the ring narrator, in this whole thing is pretty great. And it kind of goes. They even have like ringside commentators, of which I don't know if I'm not supposed to know those people or not, but this is DC. There's a lot of folks. There's a lot of folks. So, but it wouldn't be a Tom King book without there being some other underlying situation going on here. And like I said, that may or may not have something to do with why one of the characters are fighting. That's all I will say there, to not spoil anything. But yeah, this was a good start of this book. I'm looking forward to seeing the how this whole situation plays out. And yeah, yeah. The only thing I'll say about that Tyson Paul fight, I did watch some of it. I didn't watch the whole thing because it was like, okay, no, I'm not doing it. But some of the pre-fight stuff, the preliminary fights were pretty good. Like that women's fight was pretty good, and the Ramos Barrios fight was also pretty good. You know, the only thing I wanted from that Tyson Paul fight didn't happen, and because it was pretty much seemed to be a big paycheck for both of them, and then that sucks. But I guess we should have known that, and we did not, or most of us did not. But anyway, back to the comic books. We got another new #1 of this week, and that is highly anticipated for me. And I wish Agent 70 was here for this, so I could get his opinion on it. But West Coast Avengers #1, the Wackos are back, baby. Written by Jerry Duggan, art by Danny Kim, color artist Arthur Hesley, and letters by, of course, not even of course, I shouldn't say that, but still, letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So, if you've been keeping up with the news, you know of some of the makeup of the team, and if you're watching the video version, you can see most of the team on the cover. And if you are watching the video version of this, you see Iron Man, Tony Stark, in a particular classic armor. And yes, that armor does show up front and center in the pages of this book. For reasons, well, if you're reading the current Iron Man series, it kind of plays into that, because that stuff kind of plays into. We get a little bit more about why Tony and Roddy even put this team together again. And of course, as been said, that's been said in the news, we meet the new character of Blue Bolt, which, as I said in my notes, is probably giving Quentin Quire some competition in the realm of, boy, I really don't like this character. So, that's how this is going. But the fact that we have Ultron, and we're not talking about the Ultron version that was the good Ultron. We're talking about not even original recipe, but yeah, basically bad Ultron, the former, maybe possibly, at some point soon, more recent adversary of the Avengers, longtime Avengers foe. He's on the team for some reason that I don't think has come up anywhere, but they kind of tease that here. So, and unless that's like, because the whole Ultron thing has been kind of a blur in the last couple of years. Like, there was the whole, hey, he was merged with Hank Pym, and then that is no longer a thing anymore. But I don't recall seeing what happened with that. And I need to go do some research on that, because I was kind of reading when that stuff has come up, and people finding out and whatever the case may be. But that situation is not there, so it's just Ultron, and he's on the team for some odd reason. Like I said, with Roddy and Tony, and also Spider-Woman Jessica Drew, who is also on this team. I would almost say reluctantly, but it's not the case. I mean, she's already out there on the West Coast anyway, as we know from her last book. and you might be, if you're watching the video version, you're seeing another member that's not Blue Bolt in the form of Firestar Angelica Jones. She shows up in the book, but she is not on the team yet. But they kind of go, they get her to that point in this. I can safely say that. So just because she's on the cover, she's not with the team yet, and she's in a space. I'll put it that way. Given everything that's happened to her during the Krakoan era, and since then, she's in a bad way, or she's in a way, as we see her in this book. So hopefully that's going to change in the course of the Wackos. West Coast Avengers is my favorite Avengers team. If I have not said that before, I'm saying that now. This version is still kind of odd and weirdly kind of reminiscent of Force Works for some strange reason. And also makes me kind of want to go back and reread Force Works because there's rumor dropping off of that at some point. But we'll see if that ever happens. We're already reading a whole lot. So, but anyway, like I said, the team goes on their first mission. That the new character of Blue Bolt is it's kind of a fuck up. Like I said, he's there for a reason, and they go into that. And we also meet a couple of other. Well, we meet somebody that I guess plays into what happens at the end of this issue. But don't want to go into what happened there and who's involved of that. But yeah, let's just say there's that whole underlying thing that this book is going to be dealing with the first arc at the very least. I don't know if it's going to go any further than that, but we'll see. And speaking of Iron Man, we go to Iron Man number 2. Written by Spencer Ackerman, letters by Julius Olta. Art by Julius Olta, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. Another potential Kliq of the week for me. So if we've been keeping track of the current version of Iron Man, this is after the Krakoa stuff. He's also in a way because, let's just say he had in the first issue had a similar MCU type event that his best friend had, and had to kind of pick up the pieces from there, but also trying to get his company back in shape. But there's been resistance from AIM and Monica Rappaccini and the board of directors, of which one Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s own Melinda May is involved with. So she's in this book. And the one thing that, if you've seen the news on this new Iron Man, is like, yeah, he's got a new suit, which is, you might as well say he built it from scraps in a cave. But he think he did it in a shack, not necessarily a cave. So a little different. But not by much. That being said, like I said, he kind of had to do that because of something that happened last issue. Like I said, if you're not aware of that, you can check up on that. But I'm calling this Steampunk Iron Man because that's kind of what it is. I think they've been calling it Improvised Iron Man. There's probably going to be a Marvel Legend with or without something that shows up in this book. In this issue, we shall see. Oh, I will have to go back to West Coast Avengers real quick. So yeah, the Silver Centurion armor shows up, like I said, prominently, like I said, because of things that was going on in Iron Man. And there's not necessarily a callback to a form of transportation that Tony used to have back in the Mark II days, but something kind of close that was kind of amusing that it did to the character there. But that's it. That's West Coast Avengers number 1. You have to read that and find out what that is. Also, there was a character from the 90s called Force that came in the book. That's another reason that's like, okay, they're really doing some 90s joints going on here. But anyway, I'm sorry, no, Force happens in Iron Man number 2. Sorry, who shows up? Which, man, I hadn't seen that character in a minute. But like I said, Tony's dealing with what the company's going through with AIM and Roxxon trying to take over the to take over the company, and he's trying to do things on his end to get it back because obviously he's not going to let that happen. And also, trying to do his Iron Man business, and yeah. Also, I'm going to say that I called it because when we talked about the first issue, there was the hint of someone from Tony's past that was an adventure sided character that was helping out this whole AIM Roxxon takeover thing, and I was right. That's all I'm going to say about that. I feel like it was a no-brainer, but so I can't really lay claim to it, but I called it, and sure it was, because we found out in this issue who that person was. In fact, you see the person before they even call them out, which is weird. So I was like, wait, okay, but there you go. So that's Iron Man #2. Still continues to be interesting. Oh, and this issue also calls back to recent issues of Thor, in a specific way. There's some Immortals Thor. I know there's Immortal Thor I need to catch up on, but this is stuff that's been from prior issues that was called back up in this one, having to do with one of the companies that I just mentioned. All right. Next up, which is, let's see, my next to the last book. And that is Ultimate Black Panther #10. Written by Brian Hill, former guest of the show. Art by Carlos Nieto. Colors by David Curiel. And letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So, we get around 2 or 3, I think, of a fight that Ultimate T'Challa ends up in. But we also find out it was all a dream. And we also get a little bit more with Storm, Killmonger, and the newly released Sorcerer Supreme that they were asked to go after to help T'Challa with what's going on with Wakanda and against Ra and Khonshu. So we get a formal introduction to this new Sorcerer Supreme. And I thought it was somebody we knew, but this is the Ultimate Universe, or the newest iteration of the Ultimate Universe. So, it is. There's going to be some differences, and this was definitely one of them. All right, last book that I have before going into Kliqs of the week. Uncanny X-Men #6, written by Gail Simone, art by Javier Garron, color artist Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So, after all the shenanigans in the last couple of issues, things have kind of sort of settled down, except for one thing. If you're watching the video version, you're seeing some kids. And those kids have been a part of the story in the last couple of issues, and will probably continue to be. We get a little bit of backstory on one of them. Excuse me. And we also get that, old habits die hard in a way, because this is the Rogue, Gambit, and Logan team and Jubilee and Nightcrawler team of X-Folk who have come across these teens and have taken it upon themselves to be caretakers of them. And of course, these teens are themselves mutants, and this is post Krakoa, so none of that is a thing. But yeah, we get a little bit, like I said, a little bit of backstory on one of them. The kids end up going. We then end up going to school for the first time, and of course, things in that happen because because it is what it is in this world. So So, but like I said, some action happens, and at the end of this issue, um, well, a couple of things happen. One, I guess we find out. Well, the rogue ends up finding out something and coming across something about Logan, aka Wolverine, that she previously did not know, because when he came into the picture, he was kind of being himself, but things kind of came out, and now Logan has been, let's say, diagnosed with something thanks to Rogue. Um, whether that's actually the case or not, we will see. Uh, but yeah. Von Glooms says Javier's art evolved on X-Men. I didn't recognize it at first. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I'm trying to remember too many times, because like I said, I am more um writer focused than art focused, and I know there are people who are the opposite of that, who are more art focused than not, and sure, that's I respect that, because without good art, the letter just is just a book, and vice versa, I guess. Um, but yeah, some good art in this, and like I said, the story is progressing, and I enjoy Gail Simone's writing, so it's good stuff. And with that, excuse me, that is the end of the books that I have read. Kliqs of the week, and I don't know if I even have the thing for that, because I gotta clean up my soundboard. So uh, that's the sound effect. So I said for potential Kliqs of the week, Iron Man #2, West Coast Avengers, Black Canary. As I probably should be trying to pull some of these up again, but I meant to read Dazzler, but I didn't get a chance to. Um, but Dazzler's good. You should check it out. There's only one more issue left after this week, and there was something else I was actually going to check out that I didn't get a chance to read. Oh, there was an Archie book, actually. Weirdly enough, it's called Archie is Mr. Justice. Oh, also Mystique I didn't get a chance to check out, but apparently Archie Comics is trying to make Archie another superhero, as opposed to the former superhero form that Archie has. And I didn't get a chance to check it out, but if it's something compelling, maybe I'll bring it up next week. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, uh Black Canary, West Coast Avengers, Iron Man #2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #4 was also the other potential click of the week for me, and I believe that was it. Gatchaman is always good, or it has been good, so I'm not, I can't really. It's just the level, and Void Rivals. Void Rivals is also the level of good it continues to be. So I've been enjoying those books. Justice League. I did say Justice League. I think I did say Justice League. If I didn't, then yes, Justice League will also be there. So, what am I going with for this week's click? Because like I said, there was just a couple of good ones. I even weirdly liked Amazing Spider-Man this week, but now that I've caught up with it, but that's not on the potential list. And of course, like Star Trek Defiant is also usually a potential, because I love that book, those books. So, which one stood out for me? West Coast Avengers was definitely fun. Justice League Unlimited, definitely an interesting start to that. Hmm. Uh, said Black Canary, West Coast Avengers, Justice League. I think I'm actually going to go with. This is probably going to be a surprise, but I can't remember if we've actually picked this book since it started. Oh, didn't get a chance to read Thundercats Chitara, because apparently Dynamite has printing issues or something was going on this week, so we did not get a copy of them at all. And so that might be a next week thing as well. I think I'm going to go with excuse me, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 4. Like I said, I love Donnie. Donatello is my favorite turtle. It's not just because of that, but the what they presented in this issue, one's kind of heartbreaking to me as a Donatello fan, but also, it's good to see that Donnie got some shine, even with all of that on him, or everything that's presented on him. So, but yeah, any of those that I mentioned are good to check out. Like I said, that Black Canary book is probably going to be. I can imagine that one's probably going to read great in trade, but I think it is still a good first issue of that. Especially, like I said, especially in lieu of the terrible fight that a lot of folks had to sit to in actual real life. The fact that this came along, around the same time, probably not that much of a coincidence, but probably is. Who knows? Also, Lady Shiva is floating around in the Batgirl book, because that's her daughter. The current Batgirl is her daughter, Cassandra Cain. If you did not know that, so I'm not sure when that book's coming back again. But yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Click of the Week. Before I get into the news of the week, as we do, I totally forgot to put up the and so we're gonna have our first ad read of the night by saying Blue Apron's meal delivery service, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Also shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles podcast can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now, the news. I was supposed to have a guest come on for the news, and I don't have a whole lot of news. So if he's going to show up, things might be over. It's not a whole lot of news. Actually, let me move that out of the way so folks can see that we are in cinematic news. I would blame it on the Thanksgiving holiday as to why there is not a whole lot of news, but there's a couple of pieces that got lost that I had put in or was going to put in. I'm not sure why that is, but you know what? It is what it is. Anyway, Marvel Studios reportedly looking to cast Lady Gaga as, speak of the devil, Dazzler. Why? That's all. That's all I can say. Okay, but anyway, according to this article, while Joker, that second Joker movie completely bombed with audiences at the box office, Lady Gaga did receive some praise for her performance as Harley Quinn. Now it looks like there's a chance that Lady Gaga might make the jump from DC to Marvel, according to some scooper who's just probably doesn't like anyone. That's why they're probably putting this out there for their own gain. But Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige is interested in bringing Lady Gaga into the MCU fold as Dazzler. I don't believe this for 1 second. I do kind of believe it, but at the same time, no. Respect to Lady Gaga as an artist, whatever the case may be. But no, no, no. I was. I don't want to say I would rather have Taylor Swift because the current version of Dazzler in the book that came out this week is kind of channeling Taylor Swift, but that was to be expected. But even still, don't want that. Fine Gloom says it'd be funny if they tried to rectify the race swap with Dazzler by making Dazzler Beyonce. You know, there's been some rumbles about that where people want that. I don't honestly. I don't even want that. Respect to Beyonce, but I don't. I don't. No, I don't want that either. I know the Bayhive would be like, we want her to shut up. But anyway, since Claremont intended for her to be based on Donna Summer's No My Dazzler, yes, that is true. But no, I don't. I don't want that. But regardless, this is just a rumor. So let that be said here and now. It is a rumor, and according to this article, the source has been right in the past for stuff. So yeah, I guess I can't see it. That look at that picture. That is, if you're watching the video version, you're seeing Lady Gaga from the Joker movie, which I still haven't seen yet. I'm not. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, if it happens at all. Let's be totally honest here. I mean, I probably will. I don't know. I just don't want to see it. I didn't even watch the first one yet, so. Beyonce can't act her way out of a paper bag. That's funny. But Andrew. But anyway, keeping this moving. Idris Elba set for Masters of the Universe. And I think I can't remember if we talked about this last week, or maybe I saw it last week and talked to somebody about this. But oh my! I just kicked the hive. Oh, we're going to hide now. It's fine. We'll probably both be in trouble for whatever shenanigans. But so yeah, Idris Elba is in talks to join the Masters of the Universe movie that we have talked about in recent time, and he may be playing the role of Duncan, aka Man at Arms. I don't know how I feel about this. I like Idris Elba enough, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So okay, this is some news to me as to a couple of people that, or at least one in particular. Is he Man at Arms? I mean, he's got arms. He's a man. You know, uh whether I would call him Man of Arms in this particular situation, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, nothing against the man's, but I don't know, man. So apparently, though, according to this article, like, and well, the film is a co-production between Escape Artists and Mattel, which of course is Mattel. So, apparently, Alison Brie is going to play Evil Lynn, and previously mentioned Nicholas Galazine is He-Man, and I don't think I've seen this dude enough to know if he even fit the build for that. Maybe an Adam. I think we probably even talked about it. He's like, yeah, he probably looks more like Adam than a He-Man, but I don't know. And that's just saying what it is. But Camila Mendez, aka Veronica from Riverdale, as Tila, which I ain't mad. I ain't mad. I can't say too much about, you know. I didn't see it. I haven't seen enough of Riverdale to know whether she's any good, and I don't think, or would be any good. She might be. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, she's looks good. And I don't think I've seen anything else she's been in. So, or maybe I have and I just don't remember. So I don't know. We'll see, because apparently it is a thing. It is a thing, and it's still going on. I guess this is where I say, you know what? Anything's got to be better than that '80s Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren. Who, congratulations on him for kicking cancer in the ass. But he broke. He must have broke cancer. But yeah, I don't know what the I. It's a wait and see on this one. I just don't know. Von Gloom says, would he be better as Zodak, the obscure black character who sits in the cosmic chair? I don't know. Since Tila is adopted, so her race wouldn't change. Yeah, I mean, she's Man at Arms' adopted daughter. Actually, so I guess that brings up another thing because if I'm not mistaken, while she is Man at Arms' adopted daughter, she is the actual daughter of the sorceress, but doesn't know that. And I think probably I guess depending on who or what you read, the only people who even know that might be Man at Arms. Actually, I'm never sure if Man at Arms knows, but might be Man at Arms and He Man / Adam. So I don't know, and I think at some point she probably comes into that, but or like I said, it depends on the adaptation that you check out. Like she might know, she might end up knowing. I think she ends up being the sorceress at some point. Depends on the adaptation that you come across. But so yeah, so Von Gloom said you don't have no idea who that is. Yeah, like I said, Camila Mendez was Veronica on Riverdale. I know that probably may not mean anything to you, but yeah, if you go search out Riverdale and see who Veronica is, you'll get an idea of her. So Duncan and Adam do know. I was wondering, I wasn't sure because, like I said, I felt like I knew that they both knew, but I wasn't sure because, like I said, there are even in the current DC thing, like there's weird things going on as far as who knows what, when, and where. The Kevin Smith Netflix version, she does learn. Okay, so and I never finished watching that one. Gotcha. And yes, she had confirmed she is biological daughter of the sorcerer. Yeah, that part I knew from like way back, but it was like, who knew about that outside of her? Is a thing. Also, Von Gloom says Dolph pulverized cancer like Drago annihilated Creed. Yeah. Cancer didn't throw in the towel enough, and now I wish we could say it's gone, but it sadly is not. Which is actually, I will say, has come up a couple of times in a couple of books this week. So, yeah. I'm trying to remember if in the '80s version he knew. I want to say he did know in the '80s version, or did find out because they left a whole lot of stuff just kind of thing. I think she probably was the only one who didn't know in the '80s cartoon. Well, I mean, most of the other folks didn't know, but regardless, in the 2003 cartoon, Duncan didn't know. Gotcha. Side note, I was just watching which has nothing to do with Masters of the Universe, but I was watching the 2011 version of Thundercats recently. That's it's not a bad show. They make some choices there, but that's some interesting choices were made. I hadn't finished. I feel like I probably will, but I think I only had it on because I was doing something else. I was doing something else, but I can't remember what I was doing to where I was playing a video game, so that definitely doesn't matter. But yeah, that show's not bad. The '80s imply that Fisto was stop. Don't no, that can't be true. That can't be true. Yeah, they did end that Thundercats too soon because I can't remember if it went out on a cliffhanger or not, but it was like 26 episodes that one season, and they were supposed to do more, but they never got greenlit for the next season, which is kind of a shame because look at it, it's not a bad show. Yeah, Cartoon Network was too obsessed with toy sales. Well, to be fair, when the whole concept of any of those things we mentioned, they were as well. But it's just that the '80s were the different time, and that was a new thing. So, to be fair, Like, yeah, we can put that on the Cartoon Network and it would settle, but like that's kind of how things had been. So it was a cliffhanger. That's what I thought, because I can't remember if I actually watched it to the end the first time I watched it, or when it was on the air. So I don't know. Either way, but yeah. So back to this movie. Actually, no, we've wrung this one out. I don't know if this thing continues to happen. God bless, I guess. I don't know. We'll probably watch it, but holy hell. Um, and now we go over to the anime corner, of which I don't think I have a stinger for. I do not. But since we just talked about them, um, that's not even anime, but still, we're working with what we got here, folks. 2003 He-Man got canceled way before Hordak appeared. Oh, okay. I did not know that. I never watched the 2003 one because I didn't. I can't remember. Was that like the slimmer He-Man, like the way slimmer He-Man? Um, or maybe I'm thinking of like the 90s version of. Either way, it doesn't matter. We could come back to that. So Disney Plus locks down major anime exclusives for 2025. What we got going on here? Let's see. Summertime Rendering is a supernatural suspense series that many anime fans believe to be one of the best shows released during 2022, according to this article. Go Loser Ranger, a series based on the popular manga of the same name that follows a group of tokusatsu henchmen forced to reenact the same battle year after year when one of them breaks away to cause actual havoc. So this is stuff that's coming to Disney Plus. Let's see. There's also Medalist, which is a figure skating anime that's going to be coming January 4th of next year. I guess that is appealing to the Yuri on Ice crowd, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. The story primarily centers on an 11-year-old girl named Inori Yutsuka, who dreams of becoming a world-renowned figure skater. Despite her big dreams, Inori practices in secret due to her mother's anxieties following her sister's failures in the same sport. Okay, cool. The detective is already dead, and Yuzaki-chan wants to hang out. Also, are going to be anime coming to Disney Plus, and if so, I guess this is where I will say, hey, um, Thanksgiving just happened here in the U.S., and actually, this is not a story item, but I'm bringing this up anyway. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade happened. The Goku and Spider-Man, the new Goku and Spider-Man floats, balloons, both made their appearance, as well as a couple of others. I did not watch the parade this year. I think my wife did, and I think I did catch a little bit of Goku coming down the street. So yeah, and I think I did see the Spider-Man float as well, and I think there was a picture from John Romita Jr. In front of the Spider-Man float, because I think it is based off of uh, his art or something. So I don't know. But regardless, hey, if you watch the oh yeah, that was a One Piece float that was also there. So yay, I guess, for you One Piece fans. But yeah, if it's still out there somewhere, maybe I'll check it out, or just kind of scan through it and see what's up. Let's see. I swear there can be an anime for any and every subject. Yeah, pretty much is. So there is one. Obviously, golf has been there's been a couple of them out there, and a few other sports or whatever the case may be. The one I liked actually, from the golf standpoint, was Birdie Wing girls girls golf game or something like that. I think is what it's called. That one was pretty cool. For what it was. Von Gloom also says, I'm waiting for a competitive arm wrestling anime. Hell, if they could do Over the Top as an actual movie, I'm pretty sure they could do a wrestling anime, or probably there might actually be one out there already. Who even knows at this point? And the number of boxing anime that's been out there. So, but anyway, we are getting into, excuse me, the comic book news. Darkwing Duck. Darkwing Duck. Actually, I think I have something on that one, but I should have used that. I didn't think about it. That was my fault. Regardless, Darkwing Duck is going to be back in 2025 with the creative team of Daniel Kibblesmith, with art by Ted Brandt and Ro Stein. I honestly, was reading the Duck book, and I did not know, for some strange reason, it did not click with me that it had stopped. But I remember it did stop, and the Justice Ducks book came about, and I think that might be done, but I didn't finish reading that book. It was only a few issues. I might be slightly wrong about that. And that Negaduck book that that was also around, that I was reading at the time. I can't remember if that one's actually still going or not. But regardless, so yeah, Darkwing Duck is going to return in 2025 to creative team I've already mentioned. According to this article, Darkwing's daring past as it says, explore Darkwing's daring past as the file hero, answer key questions about his legendary feats. So I'm guessing this is just basically going to be filling in some backstory for Darkwing Duck. Creator Tad Stones joins with exclusive covers and collaborates with other artists for variant covers. Dynamite Entertainment promises fresh tales packed with humor and adventure true to the original series. So, of the Disney afternoon shows that I've watched, I do love me some Darkwing Duck. DuckTales also love me some Darkwing Duck as well. The one I still haven't watched yet, and also has gotten a book in the last couple of years, and I think there's a book out right now, Gargoyles. I have still yet to watch. In fact, I need to finish the last couple of Gargoyles books. There was a Gargoyles series proper, and then there was like a couple of side stuff that that's been out there. And I think one is about to finish up if it hasn't finished already. So some catch up needs to be done. And not the condiment. And no, I'm not going to scream out that other condiment that people have been screaming out for the last few days. But yeah, anyway, here's a quote from the article. I am the writer who scripts in the night. I am writing Darkwing Duck, and I couldn't feel luckier. Let's get dangerous, and let's get pre-ordered, said writer Daniel Kibblesmith. So there you go, Von. You was with me, and it was there. So you can't bring up Darkwing Duck without bringing up a Let's Get Dangerous here or there. In fact, I had a soundbite of that, and I don't know why it is not showing up on the soundboard. That's great. So I'm going to have to retool this thing. Sir, you were late. There is a Justice Ducks book. In fact, it might be over with. I'm not sure. Yes. That book is. Dang it! That book is already out. That book has been out. In fact. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can pull it up. Justice Duck, because this guy, because Darkwing even shows up in that book a couple of different times, but it is the Justice Ducks. Yeah, if you're watching the video version, here's an image of the last. I think this is the last book, the last image that or the last issue that came out of that. It was decent. Like, it was pretty much one-off stories of actually, I think there might have been a two-parter in one of them, But as you can see, there's Morgana, there's Neptunia, Gizmo Duck, Stegron, and Darkwing there, all in the book together. So yeah, it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I can't remember if that book is still going or not, or it's gone by the wayside. But yeah, so yeah, you check it out. Also, with it's a Dynamite book, so the purveyors of licensed goods therein. I think the book was also halfway decent, but yeah. But anyway, there's some unlettered pages or in unlettered pages that is evocative of the theme song of Darkwing Duck. And there you go. If you're watching the video version and making his grand entrance as he does, yeah. So that last issue that I just showed was the last issue. So, but yeah, you can check it out. Anyway, next up, though, Boom Studio drops Buffy and Firefly licenses and cancels Zoe Allen's comic. So apparently, there's not going to be any more Buffy and Firefly books at Boom Studio. Let's see. Cancellation of Firefly Zoe Allen Year 1, number 1 in PAX Collector's Edition. Don't know where those franchises or I said franchises, but those IP are going to go. So apparently, according to the article, Boom cites business reasons for not renewing Buffy and Firefly comics licenses, which feels like to me that they weren't selling. So that's what that feels like. But also, I also know there are still people who love them some Buffy and Firefly who may or may not have known about those books. Don't know. I am the blurred that read comics in the night. That's, you know what? You and me both, sir. I like that. You know what? There you go. You got your tagline for your next video. And there you go. But yeah, I don't know what's been going on in this whole Firefly universe. I used to love the show, but also knowing that Josh Whedon's kind of a insert bad language here, or was anyway, then just kind of bums me out. Anywho's, Marvel announces Dicey Deadpool plus and Miles Morales crossover with Pools of Blood. And so this now explains why Deadpool's daughter has been showing up at the end of Miles Morales, of which the last issue I forgot to read. But yeah, there's been like a backup story in Miles Morales' book. Not surprising, I guess. Well, it probably shouldn't be surprising given that the writer of both of those books, the same. So Cody Ziegler. But yeah, so there's new crossover in which Miles becomes the next target of Deadpool and daughter, which I could have sworn Deadpool's dead. I'm air quoting here. And his daughter took over, or at least Wade's out of the picture, I should say that. But apparently, of course, you can't kill him because, I think he's come back from a teardrop or something. I don't know at this point. I don't like Deadpool, so I don't even care. So I'm spending way too much time on this. But regardless, Marvel Comics has announced that Wade Wilson regains his superhero mantle alongside his daughter Ellie. Their first official job as a duo of Deadpools will be to eliminate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, in the crossover titled Pools of Blood. The 4-part crossover begins in February 25 with Deadpool 11. Again, written by Cody Ziegler, who is also a writer of Miles Morales Spider-Man. So which probably means this is going to impact Miles Morales, which is a book I am reading, with a book that I am not reading, that being that being anything Deadpool. So yeah. Anywho's, next up, Luciano Vecchio spotlights the new generation of X-Men in upcoming Uncanny X-Men variant covers. So starting in February, we see the kids from the Uncanny X-Men book that I mentioned earlier on new variant covers. So there's Walmart Bobby DaCosta, Ransom. That's not nice. I shouldn't say that, but he feels so much like old Bobby in ways, minus not being Brazilian, but still a little hot-headed, and what's not, but not as much of the thinking he's a playboy, or maybe there's a little bit there. But it's also Calico, Jitter, and what is the other dude's name? Deathstorm or Death Dream? Excuse me. If you're watching the video for this here show for this week, you can see the variant covers there. So cool beans, and that's going to be in February, or starting in February, I should say. And the first one will be the Ransom variant on February 19th, because it makes sense. He's a black character. Also, I thought he was a Moon Knight, because if you're watching the video version, you can kind of see there's a whole that whole thing on his chest, which doesn't have anything to do with Moon Knight. Kind of feels like it. So I don't know. Also, with that mask, he's kind of I'm trying to what's that Grifter, the DC character? Kind of feels like he's going for there. I don't remember. I think that might be right. But regardless, there is that. Next up, though, we're getting a little bit of toy news with Hasbro releases first images of Marvel Legends Spider-Boy figure, which we knew was going to happen. Shouldn't be surprised. So let's see. First photo of the figure was released on social media of Dan Slott, of course, was the one who put this out there. So the writer teased a big announcement early in the day before posting the picture. The photo shows that the young hero in mid-leap with his hands in the classic Spider-Man position. So if you're watching the video version, you can see Spider-Boy right there. I have not read any of that Spider-Boy book. I've seen him. As a matter of fact, he showed up in Amazing this week. And showed up in that Spider Society thing for. No, actually, no, he didn't. He might have showed up there in a hot second, but actually, I don't remember him being there. Now that I think about it, so, Grifter mask with the Killmonger braids. Yep, was Von Gloom says was hoping that we wouldn't have to deal with the Killmonger braids. We're always going to have to deal with the Killmonger braids, whether it be in comics or in video games, because it's easy for them to do, and they don't know no better, I guess. But yeah. Oh, and also, like I said, Killmonger was in this week's. No, wait. Yes, he did. He was in this week's Ultimate Black Panther. He did show up for like 5 seconds there. So yeah. But yeah, Spider-Boy, and it goes into an explanation, which it's don't really care. Next up, although I feel compelled to actually read some of that book just to see what's going on there, just to say that I did, but I don't wanna. So there you go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles introduces Dark Leonardo, and he's already getting an action figure. So, and I think I saw a preview image in this week's one of the Turtle books that I read this week. It might have been Saturday Morning Adventures Continued. I can't remember, but one of them had basically, if you're watching the video version, oh yeah, so it is. Yep, Saturday Morning Adventures. So there you go. That does that right there. So yeah, there's a preview page at the end of that book that shows dark versions of the turtles, or 3 of the turtles. I think Mikey was the only one that wasn't. there, because as you can see from the image, yeah, he's yeah. So basically, mix the turtles up with Shredder or a little bit of Shredder things, and you got the Dark Turtles. So let's see. The Dark Turtles will be introduced in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures number 20 in the story dubbed Genie in a Bobble Baby. Ugh. In this story, a despondent Michelangelo wonders if his family will be better off without him. You know, that classic story. Um, but when a genie shows Mikey a world where he never existed, he's shocked to find that Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello transformed into dark, sinister versions of himself, who serve as members of the Foot Clan. There you go. And the figure which we were talking about is coming from Nika or NECA. And it says here, there's a quote from NECA's brand manager. NECA recently expanded the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon universe with original concept characters such as our Samurai and Spacesuit 2-pack, and I think they did a Universal Monsters version of the Turtles also. It was a really fun way to honor the beloved characters with fresh new looks and stories, much like what IDW is doing with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures. So when Nickelodeon approached us with a potential collaboration, we couldn't be more thrilled. So there's a end quote from there. Yeah. So I might buy them. And I will probably read that book, because I will be reading the book, as we found out today. I'm still reading that book. Last but not least, there's a rumor from that says here, possible Hasbro China Cybertron Con exclusive studio series Commander Optimus Prime incoming, according to this Transformers site. So it looks like there's a pair of images that was put on their boards. And I'm not going to say the whole name again, but there's a special packaging with new art featuring Optimus's truck front. And according to this article, the figure looks like G1 inspired, with the shaded stickers in the chest windows, and additional details in the arms and legs. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There's the packaging, and there is the figure. Yeah, definitely does look like a animated version of Optimus. Confirmed. I guess. Yeah. And with that, folks, that's it. That's the news. Told you it was going to be short this week. So yeah, and with that, we're gonna go into our last ad read before we push this on out of here. As I pull this up again, which I did not do. It's the holiday season, folks. So you know what? You might have had some time with the family. You might have been, your social battery might have been depleted. But here you go, folks. This is for you. If you are a person that drinks, that is. Wink, Personalized Wine Club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to cabernet to torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? I haven't, but I want to. Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines. I know it doesn't taste like orange, but whatever. Tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Or I know it's not made out of wine, I should say. Oh, orange. But anyway. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles podcast can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today. And I should have went back to the solo shot, but that's okay. Boo. Alrighty, folks, that's it. That's the show. Like I said, maybe if I find the news articles I was going to put in for this week, I'll put them in for next week. Um, maybe there will be some more streams of me playing comic book and cartoon based video games sometime on the Twitch channel. There's a good chance of that. Sometime soon. Probably less a chance of that, but sometime, it'll happen. I'm trying to remember what I would do. I hesitate to put out a poll because no one ever answers my polls. So therein lies that. But folks, I have been Radicat. You can find me at Radicat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerdNeed on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. You can also find me at Radicat on Blue Skies. Coming at you. You want to see more G.I. Joe, Von Gloom? You know what? We can make that happen. I never did finish that. I'm not sure if I don't know. I have mixed results on that. Oh, that actually reminds me. So what is today? Today is the 30th, and next week, actually, that Power Rangers Beat 'em Up comes out. I believe it is next week, the 6th or the 10th. No, it comes out on the 10th. But regardless, that's funny. Let's see. But I do already have a copy of that. Well, not a copy of that. It's digital. But regardless, that is coming out soon. Yeah, December 10th. That's when that one's coming out. So we will be playing more of that, or we will be playing that when it comes out as well. And that joint looks good because the people behind it, if it's the same people I think of actually, done some really good stuff. I think are these the same person? The people who did. Yes, same people who did a whole bunch of stuff. But I was going to say I think these are the same people that published that that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em up. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong about that one. I can't remember. But that one was also good. That Turtles game. Oh yeah, the Turtles one also needs to be played because I didn't finish playing that one on stream. Actually, I don't think I might have on my personal channel, but I don't think I played any on Comic Book Chronicles. So we got stuff to play. It's just a matter of me getting off behind and doing it. But yeah, so Von says more G.I. Joe. We'll probably see that happen. Probably bring back Saturday morning feature. There's a game that I didn't finish the last time I was doing that on my personal channel, but maybe we'll finish that up there and then start kicking that back up on the Comic Book Chronicles channel. We'll see, because like I said, I got a list. That list is out there. But anyway, I am rambling. So, like I said, I'm Rydercat. I've already said my social media stuffs. Agent 70, who is not here tonight, you can find him on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky and Threads. Hopefully, he will be back with us soon from his personal stuff. You could also find this here podcast on the Cola Slither Podcast Network. That's cspn.us. Do it today. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Little Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. And you could also, if you feel like catching us like Von Gloom and like TN Comedy did earlier, appreciate y'all for coming through. You can catch us live mostly every Thursday nights, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Smash that like button, all that kind of good jazz. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth every time I feel like I have to say it or even hear it. But there it is. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.